Alright, let's get started. What's
Hell yeah.
up, Eggy Wegg Nation? Welcome to the
Woo!
8th episode of the podcast. It is me, Mass, once again, and I'm joined by my lovely friend Henry. What is going on, man?
Hell yeah. I'm doing good.
Same here, same here. It's a lovely day, and we're discussing a certified hood classic this episode.
Mm.
Cornerstone of cinema. Absolute epic banger movie.
We'll get
Um,
into it, but in my opinion, maybe at least up there is like maybe the most important film ever made. Who
it
knows?
is,
Maybe
it is
it's
quite
definitely up there.
literally, yeah, it's quite literally probably influenced like hundreds of films, maybe even more. It's
like
like
thousands.
yeah, thousands at this point. It is fucking crazy. But anyways, the movie Seven Samurai, directed by Akira Kurosawa, the 1954 classic.
Hell yeah. I think we're both pretty big fans of this movie. I'd say.
Yep, we both loved it.
Hell yeah. You know, I mean, it's a classic. It's pretty good. Hot
There's
take. Hot
hot
take.
take
It's
alert.
quite good.
Controversial opinion. This movie it was actually pretty good. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
lie. Um, this is easily like one of the most perfect movies ever made. I think.
Oh, definitely.
There's really not much you can pick at it for, even if you're like, even if it's not like your personal preference. I think it's just a
Yeah.
solidly told story. There's really nothing I don't
Especially
think wrong with
considering
it.
it's 70 years old nearly. Well, it's like 69. It's 70 next year, which is
Yeah.
ridiculous. Like even in like Ikaru, there are like certain funny bits you can kind of pick out because it's fucking old as shit.
Uh huh.
But Seven Samurai is like fuck me.
Yeah.
That's a movie right there. Goddamn.
It's aged remarkably well. It's one of the few like three. This is a long ass movie, by the way. It's like 3 hours 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It does not feel like that at all when you're watching it, and it's not once boring. Like there's not
No,
one
it's
boring moment in
so
the whole movie,
entertaining.
and it's
It's
wild.
so
Yeah.
awesome.
So, because Seven Samurai is really simple, right? It's basically about, this group of seven samurai who has to protect a village from bandits. That's literally like just what it is. It's not like there's themes to it, obviously, but it's not like some super deep, like artistic statement. It's just like a really solid story that's like super fun to watch. It's like a blockbuster almost. That seems like kind of a weird word to use for this movie, but
It's
like
a
it applies.
blockbuster before blockbusters existed.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
like at least a good 20 years before blockbusters were a thing.
Uh huh.
Yeah, it's insane. It just takes like such a simple premise, and throughout like the 3 hours, and so like it doesn't drag things out. It just takes this simple premise and just milks it for everything it can.
Yeah.
Um, and that may sound like a bad thing, but like trust me, it's like it's so entertaining and so engaging.
Yeah, for sure. I think like part of the reason, like the glue that really sticks the story together to me, other than like all the amazing technical aspects of it, are the characters. Like all the seven
Characters are so
samurai
good.
in this movie, they're so iconic. Like all the characters in this movie, if they're not like likable, they're at least interesting. All the seven
Yeah.
samurai like have interesting qualities about them. My favorite, and I think a lot of people's favorites actually, Kikuchiyo, played by the
Hell yeah.
legendary
He's
actor.
he's definitely my favorite.
Yeah, he's just
He's
like
awesome.
fucking amazing in this film. Not
He's
only is
oh,
like
he fucking knocks it out of the park.
yeah, he's such like a funny, goofy character, but he's also like extremely well written and gets like a development and arc throughout the movie. It's just like fantastic, honestly.
Yeah. And he's like really important in terms of guess we'll get into later, but bridging the gap between the farmers and the samurai.
Yeah,
He's such an interesting character. All the characters are great. There's literally like a character like his whole thing is that like um he chops wood and like he's not really a good he's not really a good samurai. But he needs money.
yeah.
And so he joins, and and he's like pretty chill, and that's all. And like that's fucking all there is to him, and like he doesn't really do much, but he's memorable.
Yeah, he is. And like yeah, he's just like a chill ass dude, like one of the samurai earlier in the
Yeah,
movie. They're like, "Yeah, we should keep this guy around cuz he's going to be swag epic awesome."
yeah,
And
yeah,
he just is. I don't know, he's just fucking cool. They're all cool.
yeah. And they are all cool. And then there's the two fucking, oh my god, there's the two samurai that are introduced through like fight scenes,
Yep.
and it's
Yep.
like, oh my god. So that one where I think he's called Kanbei.
Mm.
The guy played by fucking Ikaru, man. I forget.
Yeah.
I always forget. Takashi something.
Yeah, I
Fuck,
don't
hold on.
remember the name either.
Takashi Shimura. That's it.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah. I'm pretty. It's like debated, but a lot of people think that um, his introduction is the first time in an action movie where like a main character has been introduced, um, using like in the middle of like their character's own B plot.
Oh, really? That's fucking interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't
because
know that was the
obviously when
first
we
one.
meet him, he's in the middle of saving like a baby who's been kidnapped by some guy
Yeah.
um in another village. And
Hmm.
that whole scene is so fantastic. Like this, it doesn't even show any action, but like the tension you feel when like the fucking guy in the hut is screaming along with like the crying baby, and and Kanbei just like dresses up as a monk and like tries to um let his guard down while this guy is like
Yeah.
constantly like screaming, and then he lets his guard down enough to the point that he can give him and the baby some food, and then before you know it, he fucking runs in, and then like there's just a bit of silence, and then the guy walks out and fucking drops dead.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's
Yeah, it's
insanely
awesome.
good.
He throws a couple of rice balls in there.
Hell yeah.
It's fucking sick.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so sick.
that one samurai that like gets introduced like through the fight. I think his name's like, um, I forget. Kyozo. That's it. I think Kyozo. He is
Yeah.
like so fucking cool, and all the other samurai,
He's so,
especially like
he's
the young
so cool.
samurai, they keep like hyping him up. They're like, "Damn, this guy's the shit." He just takes
Yeah.
people down. And there's this one scene like later on in the movie where like he goes into the forest, and like overnight comes out and he's just like, "Yeah, I killed those two guys," and then like takes a nap. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so fucking
I
saucy.
love how he doesn't even like hype himself up or like congratulate himself. He's just like, oh yeah, I killed those two guys.
Yeah.
As if he was like, I think that in the film they're like, yeah, that he killed them as if he went out to like um pick mushrooms.
Yeah. It's
And
so casual.
he just hands them the musket. It's like, oh yeah, I've got this. By the way, I'm gonna go sleep. He's so awesome. Yeah, the entire cast is super memorable, and there's a ton of villager characters that are also like pretty memorable as well. Like they do such a good job in the world building and making the whole village and the group of samurai feel like real people.
Yeah, for sure. That's part of the reason why like the runtime doesn't drag because they're constantly like fleshing out these characters and something interesting is
Mm.
always like going on in their respective arcs that like it doesn't feel as though the movie's wasting time.
Yeah, so a bit of backstory on this film. So obviously, part of the themes of Seven Samurai is sort of like class divide between the farmers and
Yeah.
the samurai slash bandits, and how the samurai sort of complain about a bit about like how they're treated by the farmers, and because they aren't treated that super well by the farmers, and there's a whole subplot about them finding samurai armor that's been like picked off by the farmers by dead samurai, and it sort of comes around through Toshiro Mifune's character, Kikuchi Chio, I think,
Yep.
um, who was like born a farmer and aspires to be a samurai, and he sort of makes the connection, of how the reason why the farmers are like this is because of the samurai and how their presence forces the farmers to be like so defensive.
Yeah. It's a really interesting moment for his character. And you don't expect like him to have like the most like emotional monologue in the story considering like at the beginning he's off the henny and like he just like shows up drunk to
Yeah.
the function. Um, but he becomes like much more than just like comedic relief at a certain point, and it's like damn, like I think he's the most well written character in the movie, most likely.
I
One of the
agree. He's fantastic. He's so good.
Yeah, every scene he's in, he just like steals the show in some way or another.
Yeah, and there's sorry, I was gonna mention before. So like the backstory of that is that it was originally going to be about um in the writing room before there was like a solid idea. I think they just had the idea of samurai protecting farmers. There was originally going to be six samurai
Yeah.
defending a village, and then and um Mifune was originally going to play the younger character.
Oh shit.
Um, and but then when they were writing, they realized that the idea of like six kind of fucking like sober samurai just defending a village wouldn't
Lame.
be like would yeah wouldn't have been the most interesting. So they recast Mifune and gave him a new character to sort of to bridge the gap and make
Yeah,
it more interesting. And I think the movie, like as amazing as it is technically, I don't think the movie would be at like the you know as celebrated as it is if it wasn't for Mifune's character. I think it's really
I
like the
agree.
fucking it really makes the movie.
He is like the bridge between the farmers and the samurai, and that way the movie can more easily like address the conflict and the sort of tension between the two, like the two divisions, I guess. And yeah, it
Mm.
just adds like a really cool layer to this film. It doesn't make it like it makes it so that the movie isn't like completely shallow when it comes to its ideas and stuff it wants to say. So I really appreciated that. I think it was fucking
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, so bit more on this film. So this was when it was made. It was the most it was at the time the most expensive film ever made in Japan.
Yeah.
And when it was made, Toho were also they like Kurosawa was fucking lucky that Toho were like giving him creative freedom and that they could let him go four times over the original budget. And it was it was like it was filming for like a whole year or something ridiculous. Um, it was like 150 days spread out over a year. It was filming for, which is insane. And it was put on hold multiple times because at the same time, Toho were also making Godzilla, which was also very expensive.
Uh huh.
Um, and um, and so they were literally so worried about going bankrupt that they shut down Seven Samurai twice. They shut down the
Holy
production
shit.
twice. Um, and but thing is that was kind of badass. When that happened, Akira Kurosawa, he didn't worry. He just went fishing. I'm not joking. He went fishing
Based.
because he knew in his mind that they had spent so much money on Seven Samurai
They couldn't
that
back out.
they couldn't back out, and that they would bring him back eventually, and they did twice, and the film was
Oh, that's
finished.
sick. That's a
Yeah,
fucking big dick energy move right there. Holy
yeah.
fuck.
You just went fishing. That's
That's
so
fucking
awesome.
awesome. Holy shit. Do you know if they actually like made their money back off those films? I mean, with
Oh
Godzilla,
yeah,
they definitely did, right? Yeah.
nah, yeah. No, Seven Samurai. It's weird to think about, because considering what Godzilla is now, that Seven Samurai made more money than Godzilla when it came out.
Really? That's surprising
Yeah,
to me.
it was the third highest grossing film of the year.
Holy shit.
So yeah, it definitely made its money back. It was, it was a fucking like an instant classic kind of.
I guess I just like just because of what I know from Kurosawa like later in his career and what happened to him later, I just kind of
Yeah,
figured that Seven Samurai didn't make that much money because he went through a whole fucking crisis where like his films couldn't get
yeah,
funding, but that was like 30 years like
yeah.
later.
This
So
was Kurosawa at his like most at his like peak in terms of both like like critical um like critical consensus and like financial.
yeah,
He was at his financial peak at this point. Well, all his movies were like making money. He wasn't struggling to find work. He was making a movie like every year.
he was still happy then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He wasn't depressed yet. Well, maybe he was. I don't know. Not to the
Also,
extent as in his later years, obviously.
yeah. And like Seven Samurai is kind of a breath of fresh air, at least like for me, because most of the samurai movies I've seen, or like similar movies I've seen in like this movie's vein, have been more
Yeah,
like I guess nihilistic or more like critical of like samurai and their code of conduct and all that. But
yeah,
this movie, like the Seven Samurai, like they're good people. Like you know, they're heroes. They're portrayed in like a heroic light, and that was just kind
mm,
of like a nice change of pace, I guess. It's like a different perspective on things, especially
yeah.
considering that Kurosawa's like I've mainly only seen Rand from his later filmography, but I know he takes on a more like nihilistic light in that movie. So just to have like
Mm,
that contrast in this movie,
yeah.
like it was really cool.
I think it is I think it is because of how old it is, Seven Samurai. So I think
Yeah.
it. I mean, so it was going to inherently be about like, oh yeah, there's the good guys in it, kind of
Mm.
inherently. Even though it's like not like 100% black and well, it kind of is actually is kind of black and white. It's like the samurai are helping the defenseless
Yeah.
farmers. Like they do go into things, to themes and shit, but um, it's kind of because the thing about samurai films is that they sort of go hand in hand with westerns,
Right. It's kind
where
of like their version of that.
yeah, where westerns were like, oh, like fucking cool and shit, and then that inspired um Akira Kurosawa to do his like samurai films, like westerns, and then
Right.
they sort of started building up more and more. Westerns were inspired by samurai films, and then I think samurai films started to be a bit more critical of the samurai.
Hmm.
And then before you know it, you get like the fucking like the Dollars like trilogy and shit in West, like, and you get spaghetti westerns, which are way more
Yeah.
um critical of like cowboys and shit.
Right.
So they've kind of always gone a bit hand in hand. It was always going to go in that direction of being critical of the heroes, but like when Seven Samurai was made, it was very much seen
It
as
was
like a
fresh.
heroic fantasy.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's I guess it's the more a genre gets explored, the more like angles people
Yeah.
take, and like eventually people are going to like criticize it and dig deeper into it. So that makes a lot of sense.
Mm.
So yeah, on a technical level, needless to say, this film is really good. It's really good.
Yeah, it's so striking.
Yeah. No, it is.
It's
I
so
wish
striking.
like I wish like I knew a bit more about like the way films are made and like cinematography and stuff because I can't point out everything about this movie technically that makes it innovative, but you can kind of just like even tell from like an outsider's perspective that what it's
Yeah.
doing for its time is like fucking crazy.
Yeah, yeah, now you can. Okay, I'm not I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff it does that's super like revolutionary, but one thing I do know about is about the action scenes are extremely innovative. The way that they use telephoto lenses, which at the time you can fucking get them easily now, but at the time they were pretty hard to get. They're
Yeah.
pretty rare, um, and obviously they were made to like shoot things from far away. But because of how like zooms work on cameras, um, it just makes shooting action with the telephoto lens from far away just makes everything appear faster than it actually is,
Oh, that's sick.
which definitely heightens the action. It's really awesome.
Yeah. The action like the last hour of this movie is just like fight scenes. But
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like repetitive or like boring
no,
in
it's
any
so
way.
it's so entertaining.
It keeps it fresh, yeah.
Yeah, just seeing them pick off the bandits one by one is so awesome, and that like I've mentioned this to you before, Maz. The part at the end where like obviously there are like multiple ways you can end a fight, like a battle. Like, you know, you could have like the villain die in like a really cool, slow, like dramatic way or something.
Yeah.
And it, you know, it does have like a, like, you know, like the main lead bandit does die in like an important way.
Hmm.
Let's just say, with Kikuchiyo's like self-sacrifice.
Yeah. That was fucking dope.
Oh, yeah, so awesome. But the I really love the way Seven Samurai ends. It's like very realistic. It's very grounded, but at the same time, it's done so perfectly where they're still kind of on edge after the lead bandit is dead. They're still kind of on edge, and everyone's saying, "Where are they? Where are they?" And then Kanbei realizes they're all dead. And
Yeah.
then the younger samurai, I forgot his name, the younger samurai just lets out like a massive, just fucking breaks down and starts crying. And
Yeah, that was fucked up.
it's like a massive release. It's like a
Yeah.
massive release. Like, oh, like this thing that the movie has been building up to for the last 3.5 hours. It's finally over.
It feels like you've been fucking fighting with them like forever at that point. So
Yeah.
it like
Yeah.
definitely like it really earns it for sure. It's so satisfying.
Oh, it's so satisfying.
And that ending,
Fucking
bro.
ridiculous movie.
Oh my god, that ending. Holy
Oh
moly.
my god.
Oh my
Yeah.
god. My heart is shit, son.
Yeah.
Like that whole line,
Goddamn.
that whole line the main samurai says, that fucking Ikaru man says, where he's like, we haven't.
Can be.
I don't remember like the line word for word, but it's like we haven't won, they have. It's just like,
Yeah.
man,
No,
they're
it's like yeah, it's like
self-sacrifice, right?
yeah, they've won but we've lost. And it's
Yeah,
like, yeah. They don't it's like they don't really get anything out. The samurai don't really get anything out of it. If anything, you know, most of them died.
yeah. There's only like three of them left at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
But you know, that's the thing. They're like heroes. They're like sacrificing themselves for like a good cause.
Yeah. It has such a like kind of such a bittersweet ending where it's like, and like it's bittersweet but like it's realistic, really. Like
Yeah,
the farmers, they don't have any need for the samurai anymore. The samurai were kind of just used, in all
yeah.
honesty, and
Well, they did a
you
job,
know
right? And then
they've done the job. The bandits are dead. They don't have any need for them, and it's like, you
yeah,
know, they're kind of just left behind.
yeah. And a fucking the like that image of like the four hills and like the swords in each one
Yeah,
is just
oh,
like
it's so
seared into my
striking.
brain. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
iconic. This
so
movie just like
iconic.
feels iconic. I know that's like a kind of like a vague descriptor to use, but it just feels
Nah,
like this
I get
massive
it.
fucking monster of a movie. Yeah,
I think especially making like an action epic like this, it's important. It's important to have memorable set pieces
yeah,
and
for
like
sure.
iconic imagery. That's how you make a true classic.
Exactly. Like the flag that they construct with the six
Ah, the
circles and the
fucking
triangle.
flag. Yeah,
Yeah, just
that
goes
Zack
hard.
Snyder ripped.
Fuck that guy. Holy shit. That guy's head is so far up his own ass. Holy shit.
Bro
What
thinks
the
he's Kurosawa.
bro thinks he's Kurosawa. He put his fucking aspect ratio smaller and made it black and white too. Fuck that guy.
It's not actually black and white. It's just really desaturated.
Yeah, might as well be. Just
No,
doesn't know how to
I'm not
colors.
kidding. I'm not kidding. It's not black and white.
Are you
It's just
serious?
no, yeah. It's just very. Oh, we're talking about. If it's not clear, we're talking about Justice League now.
Yeah,
um, yeah, which takes a lot of notes from Seven Samurai, but kind of doesn't do anything,
misses
you
the
know,
point a bit.
like good. Um, no, it's not black and white. It's very desaturated. It's not
Wow.
black and white.
Holy shit, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah, I
fucking
mean,
stupid.
neither of us have watched it because it looks shit.
Yeah. I watched the
Well, I mean,
OG, baby.
the Zack Snyder one. I mean,
Yeah. No, the Zack Snyder one's probably a masterpiece. I need to watch that. Maybe I'd
yeah,
like
you know,
Justice League if I did.
for all we know, it could be better than Seven Samurai. Who knows?
Yeah, probably
Better
is.
characters, better action, better
One
CGI.
one has Ezra Miller in it. That
Yeah,
counts for
exactly.
something, I think.
Yeah, one
Yeah.
has Toshiro Mifune, one has Ezra Miller.
The decision should be obvious between these two.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, but yeah, other than the fight cinematography, which because we kind of went off track, but there's a lot to talk about with this movie. Other than the fight cinematography, just in general, the cinematography is really fantastic. It does the fight choreography is also amazing. They always make a point. They always make a point to show um, the action and then show the result of the action afterwards.
Yeah,
That's what a lot of modern action misses is that they focus on the
it's just
cool
the
guy
action.
doing the cool action things and not
Yeah,
focusing on the result of the actions because like despite it being an action movie where like a ton of people die, it puts a lot of emphasis on death.
yeah,
The
for
the
sure.
first the first death in the film is like a slow mo of the guy who was in the little shack
Hmm.
who kidnapped the baby and he like falls down in slow motion.
Yeah, I noticed that too. It's fucking. It's really
Yeah.
cool.
I love the way that they show them individually like ticking off every bandit once they've died.
Yeah, and like it's not.
The,
It's like the last hour too. It's not even like just fighting. Like there are like character moments sprinkled in there, but because of the way it's
mm.
paced, it like I said, like it doesn't drag at all. It's like
Oh no,
fucking. It's incredible.
it's seamless. I honestly could have. I don't know how serious you thought my like Letterboxd review of it was, Mass, before you watched Seven Samurai. But I think you can agree now that I could have
Yeah,
literally watched another 200 minutes of
yeah.
that
Not
movie.
even joking. Fuck.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's not
thought
even
you
a
were
joke.
joking.
No, I I literally could have watched another 200 minutes. It's so entertaining.
And that's like so rare for movies that are this long too. Like
Yeah,
even ones where
ridiculous.
you don't necessarily feel the length, you're like, okay, that could have
Yeah,
been.
even like
That's like,
even like my like second longest film, and maybe this is a bad example actually, but like my second longest 10 out of 10 film, which Mass hasn't seen yet, is Gene Dealman. Um,
cleaning.
that's not a film I want to be longer. Like, I feel like that it's like that film is like just long enough. Like
Yeah,
it's like push it. It's like just like about to push it. But
20 more minutes than it would have been like nap time.
oh god, yeah, 20 more minutes and it would have been like that would have been too far. It's
Yeah.
like yeah, it's already pushing it a little bit as it is, but that's kind of the point.
Uh huh.
If it was any longer, then like nah.
Yeah, I don't feel like Seven Samurai. Also, like part of that, I think, is because it's not. I don't think it's necessarily like slow paced, even though like it is a long
No, it's not.
movie. Like it goes by at a pretty like accessible pace that I think a lot of people could actually like set into if they like were
Yeah.
open minded about it.
I feel
Um,
like most long movies are long just because they're like slow paced.
yeah, that's true.
Seven Samurai is like the opposite. It's like it's not really slow paced at all. Like there a lot of stuff happens. It's just that it needs a lot of time to like show all the shit that happens.
Yeah, it sets everything up in a very deliberate way, and
Mm.
to explore everything it wants to say and explore all its characters, it needs enough time to do it. And I think it was like the perfect amount. Really, it doesn't waste like a single minute of it, so
No.
it was very deserved.
Yeah. And I love how there are just scenes that like aren't like plot relevant, but they're just there because they can be and they're entertaining anyway. And
Hmm.
it never feels like wasting time. And they
No,
always say something about the characters.
yeah, like that whole montage with fucking Mifune's character, like following the fucking samurai, just like watching them from the bottom of the waterfall and stuff. Like that was just cool. I really like that.
Yeah, there's one scene that I really like that is just it's not necessary like at all, but I'm so glad it's still in the film where Mifune's character is just he's riding a horse and he's like all funny and epic. He's trying to prove how funny epic he is. And the horse just like runs like under a barn.
Yeah, Yeah.
And then when it comes out the other side, Mifune's like falling off the horse, and it's really
Yeah.
funny.
I remember when I was like watching that scene, I was thinking to myself, like, man, this movie is like way goofier than I was expecting it to be.
Yeah,
And I'm
no,
not
it is.
saying it's
Especially, yeah,
like that's a good thing. Like I like that. I was going into it thinking it'd be like a way more serious film, and like it is mostly like a more serious film, but there's like a lot of goofy,
yeah,
lighthearted scenes in there that I like.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, so is Ran, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, fucking 227 minutes could have done with another 200 more.
Add another
Honestly,
300,
add another 300 hours, and I'd watch it.
another 700, 100 minutes for each samurai.
Hell yeah, that would
And that
be
would have been
awesome.
sick. Get a
Flesh out wood chopping guy.
hell yeah.
I bet he's fucking interesting as shit. You can just tell. You can just tell he's so interesting.
He was cutting that wood expertly, dude. Not even gonna
Naturally, he
lie to you.
was.
That's not easy. That precision, holy shit. Couldn't
True.
fucking do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of, yeah, the editing is obviously fantastic. I mean, the fact that it flows so seamlessly is
Yeah.
fucking astonishing. The editing is fantastic, and Kurosawa is actually one of the few directors who edits his own films, and it
Oh,
really
that's cool.
shows. Yeah, it really shows. Um,
Yeah. It flows very
if
deliberately.
mm,
Also, didn't this movie popularize like slide editing, or was that like already a super popular thing?
um,
I know like George Lucas took inspiration from it, so maybe like that's what I'm
yeah,
thinking of. But
George Lucas definitely took inspiration from like the slide editing in old Kurosawa, but it was a thing before. I'm pretty sure.
got it, got it. Regardless, this movie utilizes it like really well, though.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, in terms of the movie's soundtrack, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah,
It's got a pretty cool main theme.
yeah, it
It's
slaps pretty hard.
it's used pretty sparingly, which I really love. It's something that Kurosawa has basically mastered, using his soundtrack like as sparingly as possible. Um, yeah, very effective, very great. You know, if I could say, like, I mean, the soundtrack is great, but if I could say like one thing about the film that I could maybe prefer, and even then, I feel like if it actually happened, I'd be like, no, I prefer the original. Maybe for the the opening credits, they could have had like a more catchy, epic kind of tune, just to it'd be a bit more memorable. But like even
Right.
then, it doesn't need
Yeah.
it. What's there is
Yeah.
already like great enough. It's like
Like
you know
like you said, that could be beneficial. It could not. I guess we have to see. But yeah,
we'll
that's getting
never
down to
know.
the
But
really minor details at this
yeah,
point.
like super minor. It's like it doesn't even matter.
That's
Um,
how far down you have to dig when like trying to critique
and,
this movie.
and the only reason I say that is because of it's the one thing I like about the Magnificent Seven over Seven Samurai. But we'll get into that.
Oh yeah, the
Yeah. So yeah. Also, Seven Samurai. It was all the sets are fucking amazing. It's fucking you fucking believe you're in the fucking
yeah.
1600s or whenever it's set. I can't remember. Um,
Yeah, you mentioned to me that earlier that like it's the world feels very lived in, and like I agree. Um, like you said, all the pieces look like fucking amazing. They shoot at
mm,
like a lot of different locations too, which also helps. And also like again, considering how long this movie is, it gives you a lot of time to like immerse yourself in this world. And
yeah,
yeah, it just feels like a very it just feels very lived in. I agree.
yeah. From all the time that you spend in the village and like the time you spend like they spend like like reforming it with like the making the river and like drawing the map and shit. You have like a really
Yeah.
good idea of how the village is laid out by the end of the film.
Yeah, they really spend a lot of time on it when they're originally like mapping out. They're like actually show you like the battle plan, which a lot of like blockbuster like action movies wouldn't like take the time out of the runtime
Yeah,
to like show you. But since this movie, does, it actually adds a lot, in my opinion. It makes you appreciate the action more because you actually like know what's going on.
So Mass did not watch this. I did, um, but in 1960 there was an American remake called The Magnificent Seven, set in the Old West,
Hmm.
directed by fuck, called like John Sturges or something like that. Um, the same person who directed a pretty famous film, The Great Escape.
Pretty unknown. You might not have heard of it.
Yep. So the where the Magnificent Seven gets his name is that when so is that Seven Samurai was originally released in the West in 1955, a year after Japan, where it was cut down a bit by like 50 minutes. Well, I say a bit, that's quite a lot. It was cut down by 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And it was given the name the Magnificent Seven.
Hmm.
So that's where the name of the remake comes from. It actually comes from the original Western release of Seven Samurai. And then after the remake came out, they just called the Japanese one Seven Samurai.
Right. They'd have cut it
Uh,
down for our attention spans.
yeah,
Oh, that probably wasn't it. I don't know why they actually did it, but
yeah. I don't know. I think that was why. Because I feel like it's not
because
that
Westerners are fucking stupid.
Well, I mean, a lot of long movies were coming out at the time, where it's like, oh, this is so like the biggest movie of 1954 was The Ten Commandments, which is like 3 hour 40 minutes long, and it's
Yeah, that
boring.
was a snooze fest,
And that
apparently.
was like that was like the biggest film of like the 50s. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it was just because um, I'm not sure that they were probably a bit funny about if Westerners would want to watch a foreign film that was that long. I
Oh yeah,
think
that's
that's
true. They
literally
were
just
probably
it.
like way more closed-minded about like they were definitely way more closed-minded about foreign movies at that time, so it
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense.
Um, but yeah, so that's where the Magnificent Seven gets its name from. It's a western, and it follows a group like a Mexican village that's being raided by that keeps getting raided by bandits. And so they initially want to find guns,
Hmm.
but they end up seeing the main cowboy do like a really cool display where he's like up against three guys and he like shoots two of them at once.
It's pretty swag.
And he's like, okay, we gotta hire cowboys to defend our village, and it kind of just goes through the same set pieces, except it's about
Yeah.
an hour and 20 minutes shorter.
So it's
Um,
still like a very simple
yeah,
film. It doesn't like go too
it
far from the
it
source material.
really does lack a lot of what makes Seven Samurai so special, though. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
um, the pacing isn't nearly as seamless. There's like a good middle chunk of the film where it kind of drags. Like the first hour is actually like really good, and then it sort of drags in the middle, and then the ending is like the ending like last half an hour is like pretty good. Um, but yeah, the characters lack way more depth
Hmm.
than the samurai. They combined Mifune's character with the younger samurai, and so you have
Oh.
this guy who's like kind of crazy, kind of drunk, um, who's like also like a farmer,
Hmm.
who wants to be a cowboy, but he's also very young and naive, and he ends up falling in love um one of the women in the Mexican village, and actually ends up staying behind to live with her, which is something that doesn't happen in Seven Samurai.
Yeah.
Um,
No. The kid
she
gets
ends up
cucked at the
in
end.
Seven Samurai. Yeah, he gets kirked. She wants nothing to do with him at the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the Magnificent Seven, and also the female character is like so shit compared to in Seven Samurai. In Seven Samurai, she actually has agency
Yeah.
decide she doesn't want anything to do with the samurai at the end.
which is
Whereas
another aspect that was like really ahead of its time with
yeah,
this movie.
um, in the remake, she barely even like speaks.
Oh
There are
God,
like some scenes between them where she literally
of
doesn't
course.
even talk. She doesn't even talk at all. It's like
Oh
so
God,
weird. She's like easily the most butchered part of the film, in my opinion. Um, but yeah,
having
and
like
and
having like Mifune and like the apprentice character like mixed together is a really like weird approach, to be honest. Like I don't doubt like maybe it could have worked with
yeah,
like better writing, but from what you're saying, it doesn't sound that good.
yeah, and yeah, they do retain. Yeah. Anyway, the best part of the film is the bit where they're like going to get all the going to they're trying to round up all the cowboys to help save the village. Um, that is the best part of the film. There's one part I really like. They recreate the duel between Kyozo and the other guy, but instead what happens is that the expert guy, instead of like standing guard and like using his opportunity to strike, instead what happens is that the other guy pulls his gun out, but before he can shoot, Kyozo's counterpart in the Magnificent Seven fucking pulls out a knife and fucking throws it at the other guy's chest. It's really awesome. But yeah, when it comes to the actual like world building, and that's sort of where it falls flat. A lot of the connections don't feel as natural, and the characters just aren't nearly as interesting. Um,
Yeah.
the bandits are pretty like faceless in Seven Samurai, but there's actually like a proper villain in the Magnificent Seven.
Oh,
Um,
that's interesting.
yeah, and there's actually and I thought at first, oh god, no, this I don't like this, but it kind of won me over. There's actually a cool thing where they actually keep the prospect of the villain of they actually keep the prospect of the farmers not trusting the cowboys, where they have a thing where like there are no women in the village, and you find out later that they've all been like hid away from the cowboys.
Right.
Yeah, and there's also one of the cowboys knows about this one like there's like one mountainside, or it's like a cave or something near the village where there's lots of like jewels and stuff, and the farmers are like keep refusing to acknowledge it and deny that they have any, basically,
Oh, okay.
because they yeah, and then there's kind of a breaking point where um the farmers, where like the cowboys are like kind of digging in too deep, and the farmers kind of get a little scared, and sort of tell them to piss off a bit.
Right. That's actually
um
an interesting
and they,
addition.
they end up getting double crossed, where
Oh,
they
fuck.
where they allow the bandits in, because
Oh,
they
fuck.
because they find it easier for the bandits to keep taking their stuff rather than have the cowboys like nose about, because they're like so scared of them,
Wow.
even though they haven't really done anything
Yeah.
to them. And
So,
then
so
so the
it does
cowboys
explore the
sort of,
tension of it a bit.
yeah. And so the cowboys just kind of wander off. Then they realize, hey, we should save them anyway. And so they go out. So they go to the village and they shoot all the bandits, basically, and
Hell yeah.
most of them die. Um, yeah, but you don't really care about most of them. And then yeah, the main guy survives, and so does the young one who goes to stay with the woman at the village who doesn't speak 'cause she's a fucking shit character. And yeah, I don't know.
It is
It,
interesting
it
what you said about like the bandits actually having like a lead villain, because like I was sort of expecting a lead villain for the bandits to pop up like
Yeah.
while watching Seven Samurai, and it never really happens. Which like
Mm.
I don't mind that. I thought it like the
I
direction it
quite
went
like
in
that.
was good enough. Yeah, I thought
So
it was like good, but it is interesting that that movie actually went that direction.
yeah. Um. But yeah, just the main problem with it is just that compared to Seven Samurai, it's just really it doesn't do like anything better.
Right.
It's like technical aspects are fine. Um, the editing not as good. It like
That's a
there's a
common
bit
theme we're
there's a
seeing
bit
with
in the
like
middle
that's a
where it
common
kind
theme
of
we're
drags.
seeing with the American remakes on this channel.
They're shorter, but they're not paced as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, not as interesting. Um, yeah, I'd say it's better than most of the other shit remakes we've talked about, but like I'd say it's like still like it's like good or okay. It's like a 5 or a 6. I'm really not sure. It's like not amazing. It's not as good as the Solaris remake.
It's not Old Boy 2013.
Oh god, no, it's not nearly as bad as that. But yeah, I don't know. It kind of, it's alright.
Could have been
It
worse.
has a fantastic main theme. The main
Mm,
theme is really great. And I think that's the reason why I had the idea of like Seven Samurai, just at least for like the opening credits, having a more like memorable heroic kind of theme. Just because
right.
they have that for Magnificent Seven. It's such a fantastic I'll link it to you like in, in like DMs later. It's such a
Sick.
fantastic theme. But I don't think I really like the score overall, just because that main theme is fantastic and it's used a few times, but most of the score is just kind of like when they
Bland.
when they don't want when they want a score but they don't really have proper music, so they kind of just have music playing, and it's
Right.
like, okay, it doesn't need music, it could just be like atmospheric, you know
Yeah.
it's that kind of stuff.
They just feel the need to have it there like just because.
Yeah, Seven Samurai didn't need to do that, and it's better for it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Magnificent Seven, I get it's a classic, I guess. I don't really see the hype. It really doesn't help that I watched it right after Seven Samurai, but it's whatever. It's not the
Gotta live
worst
up
thing
to
in
the
the
movie.
world, honestly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like
But it's more
fu-
like the mid five.
I have it as like a 6 out of 10. It's like a 5 or a 6.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and yeah, Seven Samurai. I'm obviously giving that, like a. Nah, I'm not even gonna pretend. Yeah, it's like a 10 out of 10 movie.
Big old 10 out of 10.
Big old 10. Yeah, pretty perfect.
Kurosawa
It's
turns
pretty
out
cool.
decent director.
Turns out he can make a good movie. Who would have thought?
Nah, no, he's mid. He's mid as fuck.
What a
Let's be
mid
real here.
director. What the fuck?
Snyder,
Yeah.
please come save our souls.
Yeah. I'm giving Zack Snyder's Justice League an 11 out of
we're,
10.
we're rating that too. That's
Yeah, I'm giving
12
it
out of 10.
it's my first 11 out of 10.
Fuck, I just realized we've been saying Seven Samurai instead of Justice League this whole time. Holy fuck.
Oh, what the
How are we
fuck?
gonna
Oh,
explain this?
we're so silly. What the fuck?
Fuck. Oh, god damn it.
No.
We'll just say we were like, there was this typo or something. I don't
I'll
know.
just correct it in post.
Typos in the script. This is all scripted, guys. Our
Yeah.
bad.
My bad. We don't actually watch any of the movies we talk about. We
we
kind of,
just go.
we kind of wing it and hope that people
We
don't
scroll through the
notice.
Wikipedia page and like the top 3 reviews on Letterboxd.
We watch like some YouTube videos and we're like, okay. Yeah, we don't actually watch the movies because like who watches movies? They're too long, boring.
Yeah, especially old ones.
I'd rather be on like Instagram Reels.
Exactly. Or watch clips of the movies from Instagram Reels. Maybe then it's
Yeah,
more tolerable.
or
But
watch like clips from TikTok of the
like
movie.
I'm pretty sure Tarkovsky is a psyop. Like I don't think people
Yeah,
actually like that guy's
yeah,
movies.
I like that duel scene I talked about in Seven Samurai. I haven't actually watched it. I watched like the beginning and then like the bit where he kills him at the end, and followed by like a Sigma edit of
Yeah.
Kyozo.
Hell yeah.
um,
All my knowledge from the movies we talk about on this channel is just from Sigma edits. That's it.
yeah, no, we don't actually watch any movies. We have no passion for movies. Um,
I'm more into multinational corporations personally,
yeah, that's my real passion, if I'm being honest.
and like selling crack to children.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one movie I've watched in full, actually, Black Dynamite. That's where we got the idea to
Base,
sell smack to the kids.
base. Yeah, and I have
Yeah.
a micro penis, so like it kind of worked out.
Yeah, which was inspired by Black Dynamite. Um,
Anyways, 10 out of
um,
10. Woo!
yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, cool movie. Seven Samurai. Goddamn. Um, you wanna close out, Mass? I can't do this.
Overall, Kurosawa was definitely one of the filmmakers of all time. Dropped multiple hood classics, including this one. Tune in next time when we talk about another movie that we're probably going to circle jerk. Or hey, who knows? Goodbye.